Hey everyone, welcome back to Code and Context with MR. This is a show where we zoom out and look at the bigger picture of modern development. Today I am tackling a topic that's been coming up a lot in my conversation with teams and leaders. How do we fairly measure productivity when AI is part of the process? Because if you're honest, the old ways of measuring just don't fit anymore. I'm going to share what I've seen from my own work and from teams experiment with AI and some ideas for better metrics. By the end, you will have few practical ways to rethink how you measure productivity in your own world. So let's start with the before times. Back when I started, productivity was pretty straightforward. Lines of code, tickets closed, story point delivered. So that was the language. Managers would look at how much code you wrote and how many bugs you fixed or how many features you shipped. It wasn't perfect, but it gave some sense of output. Here's the problem. Those metrics were already flawed. More lines of code doesn't always mean the better software. A senior dev might solve a problem in 10 elegance line where a junior writes 200. But at least before AI, there was a clear relationships between time spent and output produced. So fast forward to today, AI tools like Copilot, GPT, and low-code platforms can churn out boilerplate code or a workflow in seconds. If you are still measuring productivity by lines of code, then suddenly the dev who uses AI looks 10 times more productive, even though they might just be like pasting code they didn't fully understand. And story point, that is also tricky. If AI handles the repetitive parts, the points don't map to effort anymore. A task estimated at 8 points might become at a 2-point task overnight. Here's a quick story. A friend shared the story with me recently. He runs a dev team where a Copilot is standard. One developer used to build out a full module in a day, something that used to take a week. On paper, they look like a rock star based on an old matrix. But when the team reviewed the code, it was filled with security holes and performance issues. They saved time upfront but lost it later fixing mistake. That's why old metrics don't just fail, they can actually give you a false sense of productivity. I have seen teams go both ways. One team I worked with gave up on lines of code entirely and start measuring review quality and bug rates after release. They noticed something fascinating. They were using AI actually wrote less code but shipped cleaner features because they had time to focus on architecture instead of boilerplate. In another example, a startup I know measure time to learning instead of time to delivery. They look at how fast a developer can go from I don't know this API to I have shipped something stable with it. Because with AI, the ability to adapt matters more than raw speed. And personally, I have noticed in my own work, AI let me produce a draft or prototype fast, but the draft is really ready to go. The real value I bring is in reviewing it, adding context, and checking the logic and shaping it into something my stakeholders can actually use. So, what should we actually measure instead? Because honestly, counting a story point or lines of code just doesn't tell the real story anymore. One thing I have found that work is focusing on quality over quantity. Like instead of bragging about how many features we ship, I look at how many bugs we have fixed after release or how many support tickets came in. If AI help you code faster, but you are spending the next two sprints fixing mistakes, you're not really ahead and you are just shifted the pain downstream. And another one is cycle time instead of story points. I have started measuring how long it actually takes for features to go from an idea to production, including testing, review, and fixes. That is a true delivery matrix. I had a project last year where the AI helped me to build the features in a day, but then we spent 2 weeks testing and patching it. It was a real eye opener. Then there's a review day. With AI writing a lot of code, the skill isn't just typing anymore. It's catching issues early. I have been on reviews where a teammate found a race condition in AI generated code before it even hit staging. That saved us days. So try using metrics like number of comment per full request, or ratio of reviewed versus unreviewed code, or like time is spent mentoring or pair programming. Those can be tracked automatically in GitHub, Jira, or even Slack. Also, knowledge capture is a big one. I have started making a habit of writing down why I made certain choices. So AI can give you 10 different solutions, but it won't explain your reasoning. Teams that record that context can hand work off, scale faster, and make fewer repeat mistakes. And honestly, my favorite metric is impact per iteration. After release, I'll ask, did this feature actually solve the user's problem? It sounds so obvious, but it flips the focus from how much we did to what difference it made. Last year, we shipped features that looked tiny on paper, but it cut a support team's workload by like 20%. That is the impact, and that is the stuff worth measuring. Now, all of this is fine, and when you are a small team, you can just walk over, look at what people are doing, and get a real feel for quality. But once you have got 100 or even 1,000 of people, that totally breaks down. You can't have a manager manually eyeballing every pull request or every workflow. It just doesn't scale. What I have seen big companies do, and honestly, I have done some of this myself, is automate the whole thing. They don't rely on gut feel. They hook their tools together so the matrix fall automatically. For example, GitHub, Jira, CI/CD pipeline, and even the knowledge base all feed into a data warehouse. Then you get a dashboard that shows you trained automatically. Things like bug rates, cycle time, and review depth without anyone having to build a spreadsheet. Another thing I really like is weighted metrics. Speed still matters, but quality score carry more weight. So someone who ships a little slower but with rock solid quality isn't penalized. And there are early warning signals as well. One team I worked with set up an alert for AI generated code. If something kept getting reworked or causing downstream bugs, it got flagged automatically even before it became production file. And the last piece, blended KPIs. Instead of starting at one number, they combine a few: cycle time, defect rate, and actual business impact. It is less about how fast is this person typing and more about how well is the whole system working. That is really the mindset shift. Stop measuring individuals in isolation and start measuring the system as a whole. It is more fair, more accurate, and way more scalable. And that is really the shift I am seeing. It's not about how fast you can churn something out anymore. It's about the impact, the quality, and the thinking behind it. If you are start measuring those things now, you're already ahead of the curve. And that brings me to what I want to leave with you today. So, if you are listening to this as a dev or a team lead, here's my advice. Stop seeing AI as just as productivity tool. Start seeing it as a change in the way we are get things done. Your typing speed isn't your value anymore. Your value is your judgment and your design sense and your ability to guide AI output into something solid and scalable. And if you are managing a team, don't reward people for just shipping more with AI. Reward them for shipping better, for learning faster, for documenting decisions, and for catching problems before they reach production. Because in the AI age, productivity isn't just about speed, it's about quality, adaptability, and impact. So, alright, that's a wrap on today's episode. Tools are changing, metrics need to change as well. If we get this right, AI won't just make us faster, and it will make us smarter, better, and more impactful. So, next week, I'm diving into something related: how to use the human edge of an AI driven world. You don't want to miss it. Until then, stay curious, think deeply, and keep building things that last. Thank you.